Napalm was used in Vietnam. Bear in mind, napalm isn't just a normal flamethrower. It is a flammable liquid jelly that sticks and burns. During the Vietnam War, the US found that Vietnamese people were jumping into water to stop the burning. It was then reformulated to stick to the skin and continue burning underwater. If you got napalm on your skin, it's not a case of patting it out, as you could do with fire. You'd have to scrape off the jelly-like liquid off, of course clearing away multiple layers of flesh, probably down to the bone. It was said napalm bombs can generate so much heat that people have been reportedly boiled alive in nearby rivers. Beyond its ability to cause horrific burns, napalm bombs also kill in another way. Napalm partially combusts oxygen in the air, which then turns carbon dioxide into carbon monoxide. Breathing carbon monoxide is deadly for human beings. The reason for the US using napalm was to clear out the thick vegetation of the jungle in Vietnam. Can you imagine fighting an enemy in their own backyard in thick vegetation where you cannot see more than a foot in front of you?
Yes.
This is why the US had to use napalm to clear out the jungle. The use of napalm has since been banned. To use napalm is a war crime. And I didn't know anything about napalm. If you asked me what napalm was, I would have just said flamethrower, but it's a completely different thing. It's been engineered. One's been discovered and one's been invented. And the napalm was designed to be a weapon of mass destruction.
Definitely.
Of horrific, massive destruction.
But you...
Pause this video. I'm joking.
To be fair, to be using, I mean, US lost in Vietnam, you know what I mean? So it's like, first of all, it's like the Empire going to Endor to fight the Ewoks or whatever. These men was wearing white in the middle of the jungle. They didn't know what they was doing. It's different terrain. There's not jungle like that in the US, so it's terrain they're just unfamiliar with. Yeah. So they needed an advantage of some sort, and napalm is one hell of an advantage if you got it.
Yeah.
But it is, Jesus Christ, horrific. It's horrific. But even when you're talking about jelly, clear, scraping flesh, Jesus Christ. Come on, man. Insane.
Pause this video. Go and read The Women by
Kristin Hannah. And when you're ready, you can join us for the discussion.
Or you can join us for the discussion anyway, because we're going to tell you all about it. My name's Elijah.
And I'm Joseph, and welcome to the Aisha Library.
Close enough.
Best we're going to do.
Yeah, so
this is the second book from this author we're reading.
I just remembered that it's a question of the day. We'll do it in a bit.
I'm going
to start with I'm going to start with my notes on the book. Overall, I thought the book was worth reading. And it was all right. I think it was overhyped.
I think it was written to formula, and when you don't deviate from the formula, you're going to get a consistent level of results. So that's probably why you get that sense of it's worth reading, because it's like, if you stick to the plan and you stick to what you said you was going to do and you follow these rules, it's like you're making a cake in the kitchen. If you put in this much flour, these amount of eggs, you will get a cake at the end. Yeah. And it will be a nice cake.
But there were missing components in this though. It's like there was no icing.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Or maybe there wasn't
vanilla extract.
There wasn't enough eggs maybe to bind it together. But yeah. This is what I first said. I can tell this is shaping up to be a good story. Frankie, our main character, wants to sign up to be a nurse on the front lines in the Vietnam War. She wants to do something useful, but most of all, she wants to make her father proud. Her father, being a military man himself, is extremely proud of his son, of course, Frankie's brother, who has already signed up to serve in Nam. Obviously, Frankie wants some of that glory too. First, he tries to sign up to the Navy and the Air Force, where they both said you have to serve for a minimum of 2 years before we can send you over there. Whereas the Army said to her, sure, we can ship you right out there after basic training. As I heard them say that, the realization of the severity of what she's doing when she signs her name under the dotted line hits. It's almost like you should need to get permission from your parents or some sort of family members. It feels wrong that you and I could just ship ourselves off to go and fight and die in some foreign country
100%.
Without consulting. Imagine if I came in and said, oh yeah,
I'm going Ukraine. Yeah, to the front lines.
You know what I mean?
You know, go fight Putin.
I'd be like, no, you're not.
He's
not allowed.
Do you know what I mean?
I remember one time, I'm a lorry driver, and I went in, right, when I first got the job, I went in, and I said, where am I driving? They said, Oxford. I said, I'm not allowed to go there.
You can't leave London.
I went to say, I need to call my dad, you know?
Yeah,
That's just going that's just going out out of London, out of the
Yeah,
city.
so you're flying out.
In one of them, gun in your hand.
Hercules C-130, you're flying out.
Gun in your hand, going out there to shoot at people.
To fight the Viet Cong as well, like, come on. No. And that's, bro, these men crossing the earth.
I'm not getting drafted. I'm going to prison.
What, Ali? Ali.
Yeah.
Frankie McGrath is Mulan from Wish. All the men are being praised for going off to war and she wants a piece of the action. Women can be heroes too, and I want to serve my country too, but serving doesn't have to mean going to Vietnam. The Navy and USAF both told Frances that she needed 2 years of experience stateside before she could be shipped out to Vietnam, an idea which didn't appeal to her because her motivation isn't necessarily helping people, it's getting her name written into the history books. Glory. So I thought this was a very, very, Glory Hunter, it's a very interesting point. I don't mind a morally grey or like a kind of greyish character or anything like that. Well, so it's not really a criticism of the writing.
What? It's funny because we can identify this stuff because we read How Emotions Are Made by Lisa Field and Ben Barrett.
The number one book of the last.
So yeah, we notice that the motivations behind people's, because I want to help really and truly means I want to feel good about helping.
Exactly.
Or
so
helping makes me feel good.
Like if you see like a crackhead on the street and you give them like a £5 or you give them £2 because you feel like I want to help them. Yeah, you've seen them for the last 3 years, you know what they're going to do with it. You're not helping, you want to feel good about yourself, which is absolutely fine, but know that you're being selfish. And accept
there's no
what you're
such
doing
thing
as
as
well.
a selfless act,
like accept what you're doing as well. So it's even if you necessarily even if I knew this girl once from work and she literally said she doesn't like giving homeless people money because she thinks they're going to spend it on drugs. What she does is she buys them a food instead. And I was like, first of all, what if they're not hungry? What if they need money for drugs? Like, you know what I mean? Second of all, you buy them something they're allergic to, they can't eat it. Exactly. Do you know what I mean? There's really no such thing as a selfless act. Just give them money or don't, I guess.
Give them the drugs.
Bro, if they need drugs, that's what they need.
That's what they want.
We all need drugs.
Exactly. Who are you to say that drugs bad?
Exactly. At least I'm honest. My money is for my drugs. Exactly. I'm buying my own drugs.
Exactly. Whatever recreational things I like to
do. Doing the Charlie.
Isn't it my turn?
No, hold on one second. Her motivation isn't necessarily helping people, it's getting her name written into the history books. More to the point, why don't even feminists respect femininity? Let's not forget this is a feminine empowerment book, right? The expectation is that feminism opposes gender roles, which is actually not all that accurate. They just oppose the one women were given. So like, if I say a woman should cook for her husband, oh my god, that's crazy, that's terrible, that's sexist, you could never say that. If I say a man should provide for his family, everyone's going to be like, yeah, that's obvious. Yeah, exactly. And those are both gender roles, do you know what I mean? So why are we not acknowledging the value in taking care of the home and the children? Why is that seen as demeaning? If tomorrow they said to me, all the women will be shipped out to Ukraine to fight Putin, all the men stay at home with the children, I would be like, you would never hear a complaint out. Win-win.
Exactly.
Like, I'm just get to stay at home and my wife's dying. Win-win. No,
that one went over my head.
In all seriousness, though.
Second.
In all seriousness, you would not hear a complaint out of my mouth. So I don't know why this not only what the men do is looked at as having any kind of value, and that's by both sides. It's not just by the men; it's by the women and the feminists and the people who are even trying to fight the patriarchy want to come into the patriarchy. Do you know what I mean? So I think in a feminine empowerment book there should be some value placed on femininity in some way.
It's quite interesting. She didn't have a burning desire to put a gun in her hand.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's like
she wants to be near the action.
Cool. You don't want
near the action.
Cool. You don't think women should necessarily have to be in the kitchen. Cool. Motherhood. Like where's the emphasis placed on mother? Because her parents were like to her, find a husband, have children, raise good children. She was like, nah, I don't see the value in that. And why not? In a feminine empowerment book, why is that not valuable?
So, is hearing about injured soldiers who fought in Vietnam interesting? Yes. But I don't have any compelling reason to continue reading this book. I'm 9 chapters in and I'm struggling on how she's going to fill the rest of this book. Surely not with more bloody and gory surgery. And obviously that's what the beginning part of the book was about. That's literally, we get there, we get to Vietnam, it's swelteringly hot, obviously. She's thrust into a ward in a makeshift hospital or whatever that's not too far from the front lines. And she's seeing horrors and she doesn't know what to do and she's learning on the job. And we get that and cool, but what more? And then we saw what more and we realised that this book had no plot.
Yeah,
we realised it had no plot and 2D characters as well. So you know,
This is the guy that said it's worth reading. I'd recommend it.
I didn't say I'd recommend.
No plot, no characters.
This is the thing.
It's funny how you can find yourself contradicting something like that.
No, but the thing is, it is worth reading purely because of hearing about the horrors from.
That part was interesting, but that's
why.
cheating.
But exactly, which is what I said. The book does cheat because it was an easy read. It was an easy read. It made me feel things and whatnot. But yeah,
I do get the point of the book. It would be pretty hard to miss. It's a cruel, cruel men's world that we live in, and Frankie is just trying her best. Nothing wrong with the message, so to speak, but maybe the writer could be a little less heavy-handed with how she deployed it. So Frankie is an American girl in the time of the Cold War, and while her brother and male friends are being deployed to Vietnam, she's expected to marry a good man, forget about her education, and raise children. Instead, she joins the Army Nursing Corps and agrees to ship out to Vietnam after basic training. When she tells her parents the news, however, she expects them to be overjoyed and proud of her. Instead, they are shocked, angry, and disappointed, which shouldn't be a surprise to Frankie, but it is. I repeat, there are worse fates that may befall mankind than being expected to stay in your home with your children. It's not like it's any different in the army for women, especially not in that time. The centralization of men is buried so deeply into our brains, it forms most of our concepts for what we think life even is. We draw a little man on the traffic lights that we never ever even look at, but if it was a little woman, you would notice. Them lefty tossers trying to shove their politics down my throat. So I personally, in the army, it's not different than in civilian life. It might even be worse because it's a male-only environment. So you're getting more of what you didn't want in the first place. Do you know what I mean? So like, I honestly don't really understand why. Look, I would understand when there was what was it called? The Battalion of Death. The Battalion of Death, like that female-only corps of soldiers that joined World War One, and they were fighting. That lasted a week. That kind of made more sense to me because it's like it's women as a collective, like making their mark on the war or whatnot, and they're in women-only spaces. That kind of makes more sense to me. But her saying, I'm not being treated like men, so I'm going to go to a space where there's only men, so I can be... It's not really any different. It might be a little bit worse, actually.
I think, and also, what would have made this story better with an added layer of complication, a bit of racism. So maybe Barbara could have been the main character.
It's 65,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
maybe Barbara could have been the main character, and then we could have also seen how racism played a part. We could have seen some Mary Seacole type of shit. Don't touch me, you black.
Yeah, do you know what's funny as well? Because it's easy to like start feeling sorry, like because it's 65 and suffragettes, yada yada yada. It's easy to start feeling sorry for women because their lack of opportunities and their lack of choice for their own lives. But then as soon as they start being racist, that now complicates what we thought the sympathy that we thought we was feeling for them because we're like, oh, they're racist, so should I be feeling sorry for them?
So Jamie gets got. That's good for the story. I wish they could have been having a full-blown affair. It would have made the story more impactful, and it would have made the main character less perfect. Plus, which woman really believes her husband that's going to war is going to stay faithful? The amount of videos I've even seen of soldiers' wives getting caught in the act when the soldier comes home unannounced.
He comes home after 3 years and their babies.
Yeah.
Their baby is just being born.
No, well, not even that, but the soldier turns up at the house.
Oh,
and
okay.
The husband and the woman, so the wife is getting done in by another man. I know someone that's happened to. I know someone that it's happened to. It was a guy from work. He said he came back from his tour and his wife was cheating on him, and I was like, I was.
That's so peak.
Yeah. Well, go on then. Next.
Women can be heroes too. It's not until 20-year-old Frankie McGrath hears those words that she decides to totally reinvent herself as a person and become the hero that she was always meant to be. Or the hero that she was meant to be since she heard the words, that is. My question is that all it took? She's never once heard any words to the effect of women can be heroes too, ever before in her life, or she's unfamiliar with the concept of women doing anything outside of what society's picked out for them. The Vietnam War was in and around 1965, which means that the suffragettes were first formed 60 years ago. She's never even considered that women can be heroes. So I really thought it was her motivation for even doing anything that she even did in the book from the beginning, from the first page, was very, very flimsy. Yeah. Very flimsy motivation, because someone, I don't even remember who it was, said, yeah, women can be heroes too. And she said, oh my God, you genius. I should ship out to war today.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, what kind of motivation is that? That's weird. And it forms the basis for her, not even to say, let me look into like what she said. I need to ship out today. So she went to the Navy, and they was like, you can't ship out today. She said, this will not do for me.
Yeah, no.
You know, the war will be over. I need to make my mark now. Don't you know women could be heroes too? Like, it's so weird. The urgency made no sense to me. Her level of urgency, where she was like, I need to get in before this war is done.
So Frankie gets transferred to the front. Before she was further away in a much safer area. But in the conversation where she was told about her transfer, her commanding officer said, update your will before you go and write your parents a letter. Again, the author did a good job of conveying the severity of the situation, because I've put myself in that situation. You know, you're just doing your normal duties, you get called into the office and they're like, boy, you're going Ukraine.
You're going
to
literally Kiev.
Yeah.
You're going there. Yeah. Update your will and write a letter
to your family.
Damn.
So it's a shit show, as we knew it was going to be, on the front lines. Frankie meets Rye, who's her late brother's best friend. Turns out he has a woman at home and that he's engaged to. Are all men cheaters? This book is making me never want to read fiction ever again. We have the same boring virgin who wants the wild, untamable 10 out of 10 soldier that will do anything, including breaking off his current engagement, because there is something special between him and said virgin. Yawn, we get it again, man. This is why I want to just stick to non-fiction, you know.
100%. I can't do much more of this.
How many books have we read that it's the same? Do we ever get any romance that's something different?
What have we had?
Have we ever had any erectile dysfunction?
Do you know what I mean? Like,
have we ever had anything that you suffer with?
It's so crazy. That would have my head for a split second. But I think, no, we haven't had any humongous dick stories. But
you are a humongous dick.
I think what's interesting is that all these stories tend to be about, like, the main character is this pristine, amazing virgin that is super duper gorgeous, doesn't realise how gorgeous she is, super duper clumsy.
Every man wants her.
Every man wants her. She's literally she just wants to focus on her studying, just focus on being a good girl, whatever she's doing. She's a virgin, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned. Then there's a sex scene in the middle of the book where the guy that she has sex with for the first time makes a squirt on the first. Bro, what is this?
Literally every man wanted her. We had Jamie, we had Henry, we had Rye, we had the other guy that was after her as well. That she's
and it's like the extra, like, it's a cherry on top. So a dead brother's friend. I don't know what that was about. Like, that's very, very creepy, by the way.
Yeah,
but
he watched her grow. You know,
come on, man. Come on.
You want to do our question of the day?
Go for it.
Question of the day. Your partner is going to a hen party, but what you didn't know is that they are going to be strippers of the opposite sex. So, for example, for our partners, male strippers. You receive a video of your girl sat on a chair. Yep, you know where this is going. She's surrounded by strippers that are winding themselves up in a sexual nature. They are not touching her, but in the video you can see that she's looking like she wishes they were.
Oh.
What are you doing?
As a Lord husband, I would strike that. No, come on.
Is that okay? Has she done anything wrong?
Come on, what are you doing? What are you doing? She's definitely done something wrong.
She hasn't. She's just looking. You can look for that time.
Nah, you can't.
Is that? Would you rather that they were lightly rubbing themselves on her and she was moving away disgusted, or is it actually worse how it is?
I know what you're saying, but it's never like better to see man rubbing himself.
Not like mad, like you know when they get close.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
So is it worse that she's looking at them, licking her lips, or
licking her lips is crazy.
Licking lips and looking like she wishes that they were touching her.
I think even if she did want them to be touching her, even if they did, you could get some kind of girls that are like, if they did like break the contact barrier and was something like a little bit, she might even do that anyways, even if she did want it. Yeah. So do you see what I'm saying? I don't necessarily think her doing this means she doesn't want it. Do you know what I mean? So I just feel like some people are used to being touched by strangers.
Listen, I agree with what you're saying, but I still think one's worse.
Which one do you think is worse?
I would rather my girl be moving away, even if they touched her a little bit, and she's like, her friends have kind of pushed her in the chair. You know how you see the films, rather than her going, I would. Oh, can you imagine? That would be.
Yeah, as a Lord husband, I'd strike her.
So is that a breakupable offence?
I could understand why somebody would. It definitely is. I could understand why.
But you
somebody
can't break
would.
up with someone for her finding another man attractive, because all women find men attractive.
Well, that's not what you described though. That's not what you described.
She was biting her lip.
That's not what you described. Because at the end of the day, like, listen, Margot Robbie's attractive, but I watching Wolf of Wall Street. Like,
you're stroking yourself off the porn at night time. What are you talking about?
Listen, that's the activities of the men folk. The activities of the men folk. It's not the same thing.
It's not the same. That is a good point, though, isn't it?
It's not the same thing.
It's a good point.
No, it's not the same thing, because like men are filled with testosterone. It's not the same thing. It is not the same. Well, some men are making
excuses.
Of course.
What did you say? Because I don't stroke myself off.
Certainly. I was going to say that next. But yeah, no, honestly.
But she technically... Okay, so did she do anything wrong?
I think, yeah.
And what was that?
She didn't murder everybody immediately. Nah, I think in all seriousness, there's not in them situations. You know, you kind of get affected by peer pressure. There's not really a lot you can do. You know, you're there at a head party, and it's not your wedding. You don't want to ruin it. Exactly, do you know what I mean? So you kind of get forced by peer pressure to do these kinds of things.
But did she do something wrong by licking her lips?
That's the part where I'm literally like, come on,
her mouth's watering.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so you did something wrong. That's what I'm hearing.
It's not my
all I'm hearing is
your mouth.
All I'm hearing is
your mouth watering is not your fault.
Listen, your mouth get up.
Put her head on a swivel.
Listen.
Okay.
Yeah, no, licking your lips is a step too far. That's a step too far. And if I have to hear about it from, like, if I just see the video randomly, I didn't hear nothing about it, like, you came home and it was like, how was it? You was like, it was alright, baby. No. Bedtime. And then I see the bit, like, somebody sent me the, look at this! Like, what?
It goes viral.
Do you know what I mean? Somebody at work's like, look! Like, come on. If you came home and then she was like, it was a bit mad, but like this, then I can kind of be like, yeah, it is what it is. I could go to bed like the man. I go to bed shirtless, like the man. But listen, I got to put my shirt on after that. What? I got to put my t-shirt on.
Because you know them strippers were in shape. You know,
listen,
you know they were in shape. I think it's my turn.
No, it's mine. Officers come to the house to give them the news that Frankie's brother Finn was shot down. Immediately, Frankie wants to quit, but fair play to her, she holds her nerve, completes her basic training, and ships out. That is crazy, because straight away, part of her motivation for wanting to go to Vietnam was she wanted to be with her brother. Yeah. And then she heard his plane was shot down. She hasn't even done basic training yet. Straight away, she's like, well, I don't want to do it anymore. Like, what?
Yeah.
But fair play to her, she stuck to her guns, did what she said she was going to do. Immediately, she is swept off her feet by a combination of new climate, water that gives her diarrhea, and spicy skirmishes against the Viet Cong. And the writer did well to show that she experienced a sensation of regret or feeling out of her depth. This is how the men felt. Like, the men didn't feel different because they're men. They got there, you know, Private Joseph or whatever, and with their gun, and they felt like, what am I doing here? I'm gonna die today. So it's exactly how the men felt. In those times, people were told, you know, patria mori, to bleed for your country is glory. And then you get here and you see your mates getting their legs blown off. You're like, there's no glory here. There's just death and despair. So if it was that glorious, the president would be sending his wife and children to fight too. Yeah. It's good that they showed us Frankie being rattled by all of this and being imperfect. Not like in Mulan where they made her the baddest bitch out of all of them inside like 5 or 10 minutes or whatever it was.
Yeah. The thing that I didn't really understand is why did they kill the brother off in such a manner that we did not give a fuck? Like, we could have had some backstory. They could have saved him. They could have met up in Vietnam. They could have been to have some corresponding letters. They could have made us feel that.
I knew he was gonna die, and when they did it coming. Actually, when they did it, that's because it wasn't supposed to be there. That's why I was literally like, "You've done this way too early. You've done this way too early. You've done this way too early." That's what it says to you, isn't it? Premature.
You've done this way too early. Got it in yet?
Is it in yet?
Well, they ain't even started. You know.
No, but
did you come? No.
Oh, I'm dead. I'm gonna get mine. I hope you get yours.
Frankie is hell-bent on glory, and she always has been from the beginning, to be honest. It's the reason why she felt it necessary to be a nurse, specifically in Vietnam. If it was a case of her simply helping people, being a nurse in her hometown should suffice. But no, she wants the glory of being a nurse in Vietnam. Anyway, there was a scene later on after Vietnam where she took a job in the local hospital. in her hometown, where she saved a man's life, but going against the rules and procedures, where she cut his neck open and inserted a breathing tube in. This is something only a doctor is qualified to do. And the way she flushed with pride when the leading nurse said, "Who did this?" You know, she got, "It was me. I saved his life." It was almost as if she was happy that the man had suffered a gunshot wound just so that she could show off her skills. Yeah. She has a need to be valued, which came first. And she subsequently got fired from that because she got breaching the rules.
Of course, like at the end of the day, like if you cut someone's neck open and you're not qualified to do it and you mess it up, the hospital's now liable because they let somebody who's unqualified operate on a patient, and they all take the Hippocratic oath: we won't let harm come to somebody else. So it's violation of so many different things on so many different levels. Like, imagine, this is an extreme example, but imagine like you're in court about to go down for some serious charges, and then the verdict comes in guilty, and your lawyer's like, "Well, I'm not even really a lawyer." You're like, "What? The hell? You're not supposed to be here, mate."
Yeah, exactly.
So it's crazy, and yeah, she's really out for herself. There's people at home that need nurses, you know. Yeah. There's hospitals are always understaffed. You cannot find a hospital that has enough staff ever, literally ever. So the fact that she was like, "I must go to Vietnam, where the fight is thickest, where the bullets are flying, where the napalm is there," it's just, you know, you're just going to the extreme end of the scale for basically to get your name in history books. I'm starting to think the writer may have gone too far in the opposite direction and made Frankie too much of a bitch. She's been in Vietnam for 2 days, accidentally drank the diarrhea water twice, been violently sick 4 times, gotten drunk and dropped her shorts, and forgotten to salute a senior officer. Is she good at anything? I've changed my mind because being a nurse is a great way to get some degree of power or authority in this time, especially for a woman. Normally, a woman couldn't tell a man shit. But if you just had your foot blown off, and I'm saving it from getting infected, then it's kind of a way for her to kind of exercise control over even how she speaks to other men. So I understand her reasons for wanting to go to Vietnam, but at the same time, I wouldn't.
You know what I mean? Look, we said multiple times it's interesting hearing about the Vietnam War and whatnot, but it wasn't gory enough, you know. There was no way, I didn't read a single scene that made me wince or squint or cringe or anything like that.
There was one that I felt like they massively missed out on, but that's my next point. I'll get to it.
Is it the one with the girl?
Yeah.
That one
massively missed. They massively missed out.
That was a tap-in.
The tap-in, as we say, literally. There's a tap-in that would have felt like a long-range banger, though, if they'd got it right.
Oh no, is it going to be revealed that her brother and Wright are both going to be alive as prisoners of war? Is there going to be some massive happy ending? If that's the case, then I'm going to light this book on fire. Maybe with napalm.
I'll wipe my ass with it. Use it as toilet paper.
I'm going to go again because I've got a few. So, her mother has some form of stroke, but the problem is we don't really care. The mother has never been nice or caring to Frankie. There's never been any character building in that respect. And I'd like to add, without the gruesomeness of Vietnam and history of what happened in the USA around that time, this book would be a waste of time.
Exactly. Like, first of all, the only reason it was interesting is because it was Vietnam, and Vietnam was shoehorned in there. So her motivation for going to Vietnam was very, very, very flimsy in the first place. Second of all, they expect us to care for the parents when you went to an active war zone to get away from them. Yeah, exactly. Like, what makes zero sense? So it's all her motivations for being anywhere or doing anything or anything that's happening in the story. You've already disabled my ability to care about it in any way, shape or form. I don't care about any of the characters. It's just Frankie and then the guy, what's his name, Ry Walsh? The guy, and then the other guy. The amputation scene could have been more. So Frankie and, was it Captain Smith or was it the other guy? Because I even stopped. Was it Jamie?
No, it was the next captain. It was the next doctor that did it.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know.
I don't know who it was. Frankie and someone are combing through the Vietnamese jungle where they find 2 Vietnamese children that speak no English. The girl's arm has been completely turned black by gangrene. The captain, I'm just going to say the captain, sedates the child and administers morphine, then proceeds to amputate the arm with a saw while Frankie holds her down. This was a great opportunity to show us and Frankie the actual horrors of war. It's not like they were in a state-of-the-art surgery or anything. They could have had the child gain consciousness halfway through and have to amputate her arm while she could feel it. Maybe the author didn't want to depict any gratuitous brutality upon children, but if she didn't want to do that, why are you writing a story about the Vietnam War? So, for context, there's a TV show called House of the Dragon, right? And in the first episode of House of the Dragon, these 2 criminals, they break into the castle and they find the queen, and the queen has 2 children. And basically, what the criminals are doing there is they were going to kill one of the king's children as a revenge killing, and they need to kill the son, but because they're so young and they look the same, they don't know which one's which. So they say to the queen, which one's the son? And then they're like, if you don't tell us what the son is, we'll kill all of you. Which one's the son? And then she has to give him up, and she points to the son, and then the camera swivels away, and you can see her grab the daughter and run out of the thing, and you can just hear you hear the child go, "Mummy, mummy," and he just, and you can hear them taking his head off, whatever. And obviously the showrunners, loads of people, because in the book, which is an adaptation of a book written by George R. R. Martin, and in the book it was a lot more gory because there's a lot more you can do when it's the written word. And like loads of fans were like, they nerfed it, why did they, wimp out basically? And the showrunners were like, you sickos, obviously we wasn't going to behead a child on screen. And it's literally just like, I don't know, maybe she wimped out, maybe she just felt like it was enough, I don't know. But yeah, I think when it's the written word, you can get away with so much. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you don't have to actually show children getting. They didn't have to sedate. Like,
they could have been like, we
don't have any.
We've finished.
We don't have any.
They were on their way back to camp after they expended their source.
It's not a state-of-the-art surgery, man. It could have been a blunt. Who knows? It could have been anything. There was limitless. There's limitless direction they could have go in.
Like
and it would have scarred her.
When Jon Snow beheaded someone, he tried to.
No, it was Theon.
And then he kicked
his head off. He had to kick his head off. He's a joke man, though. He's a top joke man. But yeah.
I don't know what this book has turned into. Some romance book? What's happened to the nurses in Vietnam? It's now about pregnant Frankie and her baby father. She fucked up.
It was not a good advertisement for women in the armed forces, was it? Yeah. For a female empowerment book.
She fucked up. Her Rai is still alive and back. And then we go through some back and forth of her falling for Rai's lies. I want to know what the purpose of all of that. What does it do for the story? Is it character building? No. Is it interesting? No. Seems to me that all it is meeting the word count. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, I couldn't have been. But
I must admit, it was a bit spicy when we realised that Rai is back and Frankie's pregnant. It was a bit of a oh fuck moment.
Yeah.
The book reads, would Rai ever forgive her? While he was being tortured, she was in bed with another man. What could she say to him now that would make him know that she never stopped loving him? Did she actually love him at this point? I don't know if she did love him at that point. If love is what you do for somebody, can you love somebody who's dead?
That's a good question. I don't know. I will 100% be avoiding answering that.
So, it's quite interesting because we say love is not what you feel, it's what you do for someone. And you can't do anything for someone who's dead. So can you actually love them?
I think you can because of what you did for them and what you would do were they alive. Obviously, would do is different from do.
But that means you don't love them anymore and you did. Surely. Surely that means you don't love them anymore and you did love them, which is...
or if they don't exist anymore, then sure. Yeah, 100%.
So you can't love someone who's dead?
That's like saying you can't, feel anything for someone who's dead, or you can't...
But that's
talk to somebody who's dead. If you're talking about verbs, then sure. Linguistically, you can't. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, love is always going to be the verb. It's always going to be the verb, but it's going to be the emotions attached behind it. So love's always going to have emotions attached to it.
So did she love him?
Huh?
Did she?
No, I don't think she loved him to begin with, even when she thought he was alive. It was ridiculous. Surprise, surprise. I don't feel like these romance stories are ever actually about love. They're about lust.
Yeah.
They always are about lust.
Of course it is.
Literally, surprise, surprise. The female main character in a romance story is beginning to fall for a man who is cheating on his wife and lied to her about it. The only time in romance that women fall for your traditional good guys is when they're old and need rescuing from the abusive man that they gave their prime years to. It's like, now that I'm 37 and fat and smoke 20 a day, I'm now ready for a good man to treat me right. Bridget Jones! I understand that this is a fantasy, so I'm not mad about it. Male fantasies aren't much less cringy, but it's more of a criticism of the author's choice to not be innovative. This kind of thing is why I find feminist literature to be highly counterintuitive to the movement's goals. This is supposed to be a female empowerment book, and this is the kind of man she's lusting after. So she's gone to Vietnam, obviously. She's fallen pregnant. She's turned Vietnam into, Love Island, essentially. Where a lot of her PTSD wasn't even about the war. It was just about, her bad choices and getting pregnant. And it's like, you went to Vietnam, you came back with PTSD, and it wasn't about the war. It was about men. This is not a female empowerment book whatsoever, in any way, shape, or form.
So do you think women look at Marvel films and roll their eyes the way we roll our eyes at these?
No, and I tell you why, because they centralize men. So they're watching the Marvel films.
But do they think, oh, it's another hero, he's got muscles,
do you know what's funny?
Everybody.
Do you know what's funny? They probably do, because they're lusting after the villain. The whole time they're watching the movie, they're lusting after Loki. They're not lusting after Thor. Loki is the ladies' man.
Yeah, surprisingly, we didn't see that. As men, we didn't see that coming.
Whoa, why would he? Like, Loki's the nerd little brother, do you know what I mean?
You said too much.
No, Loki's the adopted one.
I can't work out if Frankie is the most selfish girl in the world, or if her breaking off the engagement after losing the baby was admirable. Because a weak woman might just keep hold of Henry because he's a safe bet. So was it a selfish or admirable decision? Selfish because she didn't actually love him.
Selfish in some ways. I'm not going to use the word admirable. Can it be? Is it ever admirable to be like, I'm letting go of my second choice? Do you know what I mean? He's a second choice. Just choose between him and Raya Walsh. Like, I could tell just from the name Raya Walsh, he's supposed to be it man for her. Like, he's supposed to be the object of her fantasy. And, you know, it's not admirable to let go of your second choice. You didn't even want him in the first place.
Surely it's still admirable to not use him, because he was useful, and she could have used him.
Suppose so.
And she did use him.
So, we're back to square one.
I don't think she would have broke it off if Rye wasn't back from the dead.
Do you know what I mean? So I don't really make predictions anymore because I tend to get them wrong. But this time, I'm going to make a sweeping prediction. At some point during the final act of this story, Frankie's brother will return from the dead and emerge from the jungle like a sort of, I fought my way back to you, Frankie. Frankie already has two men vying for her attention, making her the centre of their worlds. What's a third?
So you should have stopped. You should have not made predictions.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't make predictions because I'm always wrong.
Literally.
Next prediction,
nothing new there. Do you know what I mean?
I've got three more.
I've got three more.
Indoctrination. The book reads, Barb's mum was walking her down the aisle, past all her smiling friends and families. The smile on Barb's face was so bright that it made Frankie's whole life look dim. There, Frankie said, that's love. Indoctrination!
100%.
As I always say, this is the reason why Nazis burned books. We read things like this and we don't even notice what it's doing to our mind. We learn about the concept of love and relationships and other things from books, TV, things that are bullshit that we believe it. So just because she's smiling doesn't mean that's love.
Literally.
People smile and they're happy on their wedding days, and those marriages break down immediately.
100%.
So
husband's smashing bitches the night before. Do you know what I mean? That's bachelor's party or whatever.
Exactly. So the fact that we think that we can interoceptively experience the feeling of love is laughable. But to think we can spot what love looks like, as Frankie did in the wedding scene, is as laughable as saying that you know what time looks like.
Yeah.
Just remember, you see love on the faces of actors who are not actually feeling the love that they are pretending.
Still say, that's love.
Exactly.
And, Titanic, what an amazing love story that.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
So that is proof that looking and feeling are two different things. So, yeah.
It's actually a funny story. It's a funny coincidence I should bring up Titanic, because I saw this on Reddit, where they literally said Titanic is supposed to be, one of the most beloved, genuine love stories, beloved by women, and, upheld by mostly women for generations and generations. And it's basically about an old woman on her deathbed. Instead of remembering her husband and her children and her family, she remembers some guy on a boat she shagged once. And that's the epitome of love stories. So it really goes to show TV, we get everything we know from TV, Like Titanic, you talk about love stories, people will bring up Titanic just because they saw it on TV.
And humans are so stupid, right, that we can take on jobs, right, such as an actor, where you're paid to pretend to be a person, and we can pretend to be in love with somebody and actually get feelings. So, we see Jon Snow and his wife that they met on the set. You see all the fucking Spider-Man and Gwen, whatever her name is.
Gwen Stacy or Mary Jane.
Yeah, all of those actors, they all get together. So, and it's obviously happened hundreds and thousands of times on sets where people pretend to love someone or that
or pretend to have feelings for them and then develop actual feelings for them.
Exactly. Well, actual feelings.
And sometimes it may not even necessarily be the proximity of them, like the scenes that they're sharing. It may just be you genuinely just have more opportunities to find out who they are now since you're working together. So it may not even necessarily just be fake chemistry becoming real chemistry, but whatever it may be, it does happen. It is a pattern that we see over and over and over and over again. But yeah, that is definitely indoctrination, what she said. See, that's love. What's love? What? Explain.
Smiling.
Do you know what I mean?
Smiling faces.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
That's love. And everyone says, yeah.
But if you read How Emotions Are Made,
which is the number one book.
Number 1 book of the... I mean, number 3 book. Why was Frankie involved with a man who is married with a child at home at all in the first place? Isn't the whole point of this book that she wants to free herself from the misogynistic shackles of being coupled to a man? Or is a man like a prize? She didn't want to get married to a man at home. She said she wanted to go to the war. And she went to the war to find a man. Like, what sense does this make? Is a man like a prize to be won? Something to boost her ego? I can take your man, bitch. Sort of thing. Because I'll tell you right now, that is not very feminist at all. I was promised a feminine empowerment book. I was promised a book about, people tell her she shouldn't go to the war. She goes to the war and, she does great things. Florence Nightingale, Mary Seacole, and proves all of them wrong. And she's a top bitch out here. And we didn't get any of that. We literally got a woman is told she shouldn't go to the war because she's emotional and won't make good decisions. And they were proved right. That's essentially what we got. So this is actually tearing women down.
What do you think of this quote that was in the book? Love is the starting and ending of life. Everything else is in between. Now, I don't know exactly what that means, but it sounds philosophical as fuck. Maybe it means when you come into this life, you're surrounded by people you love, and that's the way we should leave this life too. Everything else is in between.
I think it means that that's what we look for. That's what we think we want. We look to find love. We look for people to love us, and we look to do things that we love to do. And do what you love and love what you do. You'll never work a day in your life. And we just look for love everywhere, even though we can't define it and we don't really have a concept of it. We don't know what it looks like.
Doing something you love. What does that even mean? How do you detect or quantify a thing that you love?
If you're doing it and you feel,
yeah, exactly. What is
that's all it is. So that's we really don't have a concept of it. We can't define it. We can't explain it. We can't,
see it.
But if there must be something, because we can fake it. We can fake loving to do something.
Well, all that consists of is doing that said thing with a smile on your face.
Exactly. So we can fake it to some degree, and we can fake it to such an extent we can make somebody else believe that we love what we do. I do it all the time at work. At work, they call me El Machina at work, the machine, right? So basically, what will happen is I'll be on till, and when I'm on till, I sell things, right? So I'll sell coffees, I'll sell pastries, and when people come up to me, they'll give me a token, and the token says they get a free breakfast. So it basically means they get a free croissant and they get a free hot drink. So we do 3 types of croissants. So this is what I say to the customers. You can have a plain croissant, you can have a pan au chocolat, or you can have a vegan raspberry croissant, and you can have a hot drink, coffee, tea, hot chocolate. Now imagine you had to say that 70 times in the morning, every single morning to every single customer. Like, you hearing it think I've said it once, because that's what you're gone. Do you know what I mean? But I have to say that with the same smile on my face to every single customer, and I do. And they don't suspect anything. They don't expect that I'm fuming inside. I'm steaming. That I have to say it again. And when I say it, they'll be like, can we get a blueberry muffin? I'll be like, did I say blueberry muffin? So literally, it is possible to fake emotions or fake what people think emotions are. Yeah. Or to transmit the wrong signals.
Sometimes people say fake it until you feel it.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
If you feel shit, put a smile on your face. Because you'll start to feel happy. I think there's some truth to it, because like sometimes when you can't sleep, close your eyes and you'll sleep. Well, that's how you
do you know what I mean? Like if you keep your eyes wide open, I can't sleep. Of course you can't. You got your eyes wide open, you're telling yourself you can't sleep. Do you know what I mean? So close your eyes. That's the first step. You're gonna have to do that eventually if you want to sleep.
Yeah. Lastly, so what do you think about the fact that the women were complaining that they didn't get as much recognition as the men in Vietnam? Too right.
Of course.
Dressing up wounds is a completely different level to getting your leg blown off or having to murder someone. Would you rather do 10 years nursing in Vietnam or 1 year in the jungle on the front lines as a soldier.
Come on,
if you pick the nursing, then I think that says something about whose job is easier.
Do you know what I
If
mean?
you've never had to shoot at somebody's child or take somebody's life, then you are in a different category. Should the women nurses get recognition for saving lives? Of course they should, but they should get the same recognition that is proportionate.
If we're quantifying recognition, like, come on.
Yeah.
It's not really just... It's like, who's going to get more recognition for childbirth? Should it be the same because we was both here?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, ridiculous.
Yeah, it should be
so it's... And they would never argue to that point.
Yeah, of course not.
And like, of course they wouldn't. But, and in fact, I was even... That thing I told you about push gifts that I saw online the other day as well. I was literally just like, if they was fuming that men get any recognition at all.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just ironic that we should see the flip side of the situation.
The man.
Exactly, but there's loads of war could still be waged without the women. The men could just be nurses.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? You don't even need the women there.
Shouldn't need to be there at all.
It's ridiculous. I don't think there should be any. It should 100% be proportionate to your contribution.
Yeah.
And like these man came home like, and if you get your leg blown off and get discharged honorably, you are actually one of the lucky ones. Let you get torched with napalm. That's what unlucky looks like. So yeah, I read a few reviews on Reddit about this book, and from what I gather, Kristin Hannah's niche is trauma porn. So she bombards the audience with a bunch of depressing trauma packaged as historical fiction. Oh, women are constantly suffering from birth to death. Oh, they won't let her in the army. Oh, her brother's dead. Oh, her lovers are dead. Oh, she's had a miscarriage. Oh, they're laughing at her for saying she served in Vietnam. We read a book about Auschwitz that was less depressing than this book. Think about that. It was literally less depressing in this book.
Yeah.
Every turn, there was something bad happening to her. And she was the number one victim in every single situation. Even when there was other people dying and getting burned alive, getting their arms and legs cut off, she was the number one victim because people were laughing at her for saying she served in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. This is why I found Frankie McGrath a very, very annoying character.
She complained about her feet being tired.
Do you imagine?
Because she had to work 16-hour shift in Vietnam.
Joined the army and went to Vietnam. Did you think it was going to be like go to a resort?
People are dying around her, but she's I'm tired.
People are having their appendages blown off by explosives. Like that one guy, Bouncing Betty, he said Bouncing Betty took both his legs off. And like he was just like, that bro, what do you do? Like Bouncing Betty's taking both your legs off and one of your arms off.
Cool.
You crawl with one arm, you know, and you see crawl past some woman saying, my feet hurt. Little perspective, please, love.
So that's you done, yeah? Mm-hmm. Would you recommend the book?
No.
To a woman?
No. Because like I said, I feel like this book tears women down anyway.
Five.
If you're looking for a fantastical romance story that's going to make you feel, you know, the fantastical feelings that women like to feel when they read this stuff, then absolutely. If you're a feminist, I mean a proper feminist, and you're looking for a female empowerment book, you should stay away from this because I didn't see any female empowerment in there whatsoever.
So out of 5 stars?
Oh, 3 stars.
3 stars, so it was alright.
It was alright.
3 stars is still worth reading.
Look, it's worth reading, but it depends what you're looking for. That's the caveat. But
it's not for everyone.
It's definitely not for everyone. It wasn't for me. But it was entertaining at times. And like I said, it's the Vietnam War, so you would have to be very, very, very shit to make this like a 1-star book or a 2-star book. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. I know what you mean. It's like reading a book about slavery and saying 1 stars. Didn't really,
bro.
Not
really?
factually.
Really?
Did it really happen?
Really?
But yeah, I'm gonna end with a quote of the day.
Go for it.
There is nothing permanent except change.
Yeah, that's true. Look, it's true. It's just nice, solid, true.
Yeah.
You can't even argue with it. Like, it's true.
Do you know what we need to do? We need to have a quote battle. That's what we need to do. So you have a quote, I have a quote, and we try and see which quote is better. We ask them.
Okay, you did it first. Fair enough.
So, till next time.
Till next time.